Alrighty, all good. Hey, going. We are looking at more posts about Australia that show that it's truly unique and like no other place. We've had other episodes of this. They're really good. They will be linked at the end. Make sure to check them out if you didn't already. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, we have a sky of ice and fire. This was taken in Brisbane, Australia. Now, this is absolutely wild. You know, I'm not sure if this has been tampered with slightly. I think it has a little bit. I think the contrast is a little up. I think the saturation is maybe a lot of up. But the point is, though the photo might be a little tampered with, it is a cool effect here. And there had to be some sort of, you know, natural, gorgeous, colorful sunset to allow you to even mess with this. You know, if it was just gray out, it wouldn't look like this. So we've seen incredible sunsets and just kind of sky phenomenon in Australia, and this within that demographic. So like I said, the sunsets and that kind of thing in Australia, I bet, are just the next level, as well as that night sky. How about that? Now, I have actually seen this once before a long time ago, but I thought I'd throw this on there for anyone that hasn't seen this. This was in Australia. This is when they changed to color TV from black and white programming on the 1st of March, 1975. Now, I'm not sure how many people actually got to see this live. I'm not sure how common color TVs were in the average household in 1975. But for anyone that got to see this, you know, check this out. This is absolutely crazy. You can see it's black and white, and they, in the middle of the program, changed it to color. Look at that. That's so crazy. Especially when you have a guy like this with this kind of outfit. You just can't appreciate it in black and white. And then all of a sudden in color, you see like, whoa, brings a whole new life to the scene. Of course, I do think it's funny that this guy, for example, has a black and white outfit on. So not much change there. You get the gist of it. It's pretty cool. And this must have been pretty weird for people to see live if they did catch it. Now, if this photo doesn't prove Australian wildlife is just on another level, like we all know at this point, then I don't know what is. Take a look at this. We have cane toads riding a python to escape rising floodwaters in Australia. And you can see they're literally lined on this thing. I think that's actually kind of crazy. It certainly looks like they're riding. I don't know if they're, maybe in some sort of mood, maybe mating season. I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy to me, but they are holding on for dear life. Now, this might be one of the coolest beaches I've seen in forever. And this is from a kind of a low-res picture. Can you imagine this in person? This is Whitehaven Beach in Australia. Take a look. Oh, my goodness. This is incredible. First of all, gorgeous mountainous terrain with this just unbelievable white and this most crystal aqua blue water I've ever seen in my life, kind of running through the middle of it. It's just really, it looks like a painting. This beach is crazy. And it is definitely interesting and one of the coolest beaches I've ever seen. Australia is truly a paradise, man. It is wild. There's so many different cool spots. And someone adds that, fun fact, the sand is nearly 99% silica. So it is so pure that NASA took about a ton of it in the 1970s to make the lens of the Hubble telescope. So there you go. This beach contributing to one of the biggest, most famous telescopes on Earth. This beach played a part. That is absolutely crazy. Again, I can't believe the look of that. If you've been there, please let me know what this was like in person. I can't imagine. All right. This might be one of the craziest things I've ever seen. We have vets working on a python. Sometimes snakes need help. This python in Australia had an entire beach towel. Swallowed an entire beach towel, I guess I should say. And, well, I guess it was better to come out the front than the alternative. So you've been warned. This is a little bizarre to look at. So skip ahead if you don't like that kind of stuff. But take a look. First of all, being a vet, shout out to vets out there. That is a crazy job as well. Some of the things you got to do, like this. Oh, my God, I can't bring myself to think doing this. Typically, God, that's crazy. Typically, a lot of people are scared of snakes and don't like them, but I feel bad for this guy. Look at that. Oh, my God. It is indeed a whole beach towel.
Oh, my God. Yeah!
Oh. Holy smokes, they did it. Well, that's not something you see every day, but if you're in Australia, you never know. Now, this might be one of the coolest astronomy pictures I've ever seen. This was by a regular person taken with a telescope, and they had a perfect view from Australia. Of course, take a look at this. This was from a few years ago, the conjunction taken from Australia. As you can see, let's zoom in as much as we can. You can see some moons here, and I believe that this is Jupiter on the left. I could be wrong. If you want to correct me, please do so. And I have no doubt in my mind that that is Saturn on the right. And seeing that in person, even through a telescope or whatever, that would just be so crazy, man. What a trippy thing to actually see that in the sky. Like, to think how far away those are, but again, how big they are, that they can be seen. Look at Saturn and the rings. That's just chilling out in space. How freaky is that, man? It's crazy. That is a great pick, I gotta say. Half the time, viewers, not viewers is the wrong word, like regular people come up with better pictures than I think NASA does half the time. So if you weren't convinced by the millions of times it's been mentioned that wildlife is just crazier in Australia in every single level, well, it is truly crazy, and it is on every level, because not only do you have to worry about crocs and the big spiders and lizards and snakes and so forth, right, and on, but, well, even feral cats. Feral cats I see all the time in the U.S. They just look like basically house cats. They don't really look that much different. But domestic cats, why should I say feral cats, have grown in the wild for so many generations in Australia. They've grown to become basically twice the size of domestic house cats. So take a look at some of these pictures that allude to this. This is not a house cat, but rather a wild cat, and it looks huge. I mean, you see some sense of scale. It's got a huge desert landscape behind us, even mountains, and this thing still looks big. That is actually crazy. Supposedly, this is I don't know how this picture works, but I mean, it does look pretty big and kind of mean. And this one too. Again, kind of an odd picture, but boy, oh boy, do these things look mean, and do they look pretty big. It is kind of crazy to me that feral cats have just evolved pretty quickly and gotten that much bigger and more aggressive. So, yeah, do you know anything about the feral cats in Australia? That's something I just have not dove into. But if it's true that they're all that big, I mean, can't argue, that's pretty fascinating. I also reckon that's probably put a rift into the whole animal kingdom and ecosystem around whatever parts they're in. It's kind of crazy. Well, literally this next post kind of answers my own question. Despite Australia's reputation for scary wildlife, feral house cats are among apex predators and a plague on the native ecosystem. They are found across 99% of Australia. Here's a feral cat eating a dead kangaroo in an arid part of central Australia, a whole day's drive deep into the outback. So these things are way, way out there. Again, looks pretty big. Look at that. You can see the size there. That is really crazy compared to a house cat. And sure enough, these things are taking down kangaroos? How on earth? I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that is absolutely wild. And it does seem that these are really, really throwing a rift into things. Yikes. Someone does say in the comments what I was kind of hinting at, that this kangaroo was dead already and they're scavenging it. That's what I figured. I still think a kangaroo is pretty, if you don't know, they're pretty badass. They can be pretty damn tough. They're very strong and they're big. Much bigger even than these cats. So I don't really picture this cat taking down a kangaroo. But of course, it wouldn't have a problem, I'm sure, scavenging it if it got there without a challenge. We may have seen something like this before, but I had to throw it on there. I think this is very fascinating. The U.S., despite what we hear in these videos, despite what you think, you can't deny the U.S. is insane when it comes to immigration numbers. People flock here from all over the world. But this chart shows one country that's not interested. It's pretty funny. USA draws net migration from the entire world, literally, on statistics, except Australia. As you can see, everyone's in the green for coming here versus, U.S. people going there. But look at Australia. It's actually in the negative. So you probably already knew that, but I do think it's just kind of interesting to point out. Australians are not leaving in droves to go to the U.S., and you know what? I don't blame you. If you got it good in Australia, you got it good in Australia. Why would you change it, right? It's a beautiful place. But some Americans, contributing to the stat, by the way, that means some Americans are going to Australia. Clearly, way more Americans are going to Australia than Australians coming to America. So I thought that was very interesting. All right, another warning. Skip ahead if you don't like weird animals and insects and spiders and that type of thing. Holy smokes, if the spider culture wasn't bizarre and freaky enough in Australia with the huge dinner plate-sized huntsmans and funnel webs and all that stuff, well, this is a wraparound spider from Australia. What the hell is this? It's like all the freakiest spider species, they just said, screw it. They're going to all be in one spot. We're not going to distribute them around the world. It's going to be all in Australia. This post proving that, again, not like some of the spiders we've seen before, but equally freaky. This is a wraparound spider. And it literally is almost like flat against this tree branch. It literally wraps around it. People in the comments cracking me up. Remember those rubber slap bracelets? I do. They're still a thing. We've gotten them in mail time before. You see them at stores. This must be the Aussie version of that, right? Alrighty, now this post proves the reason you should avoid water in Australia if you don't know what you're doing and where you are at. This should be obvious, but check this out. As you can see, we'll go full screen here.
Amazing. That little brain's in tune for that splash.
And look at this. Oh my God, what could that be? Oh man, that's crazy. Boy, to me, that's a big guy. That might not even be a big croc for Aussie standards, but look at how solid this is. Again, this is a freaking dinosaur, man. Look at that thing, and they're so fast. What a beast. Dang, take a look at this. An anti-speeding campaign from Australia, all the way from 2007. Holy smokes. Speedy, no one thinks big of you. With the hand gesture to go with it. Holy smokes. They're really taking a dig at speeders, rightfully so. But yeah, if you get that, let me know. Because it's actually pretty obvious what she means there. Oh, man. Now, this is something actually really interesting. Something extremely simple, but interesting. Somehow, of all the things I've learned, I never thought of this. But you guys, if you're watching from the Southern Hemisphere, especially if you're watching from Australia, you guys actually see the moon upside down. Now, I know we always say the upside down jokes with Australia. Those have been way overdone over the years. But this is true with the moon. Take a look at this. If you're watching the moon, for example, in this example, from the UK, there's the moon. That's the moon I see. That's the moon I recognize. But if you're actually seeing this from Australia, the orientation's off. You could see that crater is actually at the top, not at the bottom. I thought that was actually hella interesting. So most people probably know this, but then I'd say equal amount of people kind of know it, but they don't think of it. They don't remember that it would actually be opposite with the hemispheres. And, that's one thing I forget sometimes as well. I'm much more aware of it now than I was a few years ago. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw this in there. This is actually really interesting, Australia. Even your moon is different. And let's not forget those constellations as well. Alrighty, and we're going to end on one of the craziest things I've ever seen. I can safely say I've never seen this in the U.S. I've never actually heard of this anywhere other than maybe a video game. Kind of like when you leave where the map ends and it won't let you go anywhere. It kind of shows like a hologram of like a stop sign. Well, Australia has got those in real life. At least they do in this Sydney tunnel. You'll have to tell me if this is something you've seen before. And they've had it for a long time. This is not new. Take a look at this. What in the hell? They have water being used to project a stop sign. This is actually crazy. What the heck? And this police vehicle, I think, or some sort of emergency vehicle, has to drive through it. But again, it is only water at the end of the day. Now, of course, you're going to have a bad day if you're on a motorcycle or in a Jeep, topless, right? But I thought this was really, really cool. I did not know that this was a thing. Look at that. That is literally out of a video game. Australia, sometimes I see stuff there, and it's like you're living in the future. Australia has some random, really advanced tech, and it is quite fascinating. But, hey, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. And Australia, you're so interesting, as always. Photos that show Australia is like nowhere else. At the end of the day, a lot of places, everywhere is unique, right? Everywhere is different. That's the beauty of the world. But I tell you what, Australia does a really good job at being different. I have some awesome previous episodes of this. I'll have them linked at the end. Make sure to check them out. I do appreciate you guys watching. I cannot wait to see your comments on this one. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Oh my God, I just hit my whole table. And with that being said, y'all, I'll catch you later.